It is wedding season, of course, and One Novi Financial Planner Company is helping couples with a very important element that most folks often overlook when they're doing their planning. And joining us now this morning is Charles Nemes, partner and CEO of the Nemes Rush Family Wealth Management. Thank you so much for being here with us this morning. So this is the height of the season, as we were talking about, and you know there are a lot of things that couples overlook. What do you think is the biggest factor?
I think that they don't really realize that now they're joining all their finances together, and there's a lot of moving parts in that. So what we recommend at Nemes Rush is that you create a spreadsheet, list all the accounts by account number, the titling on that account, the amount of assets in that particular account, and the beneficiary designation, if any. And that's really super important because when you're doing your estate planning, where your money flows to is very important if something were to happen to you. Beneficiary designations are a contract of law. So even if you put something different in your will or trust, and your beneficiary designation says something different, it'll go per the terms of that beneficiary designation. So if, for instance, before you get married, you list your mother and father or maybe your brother or sister as your beneficiaries. If you don't change those after you get married, even though you would have wanted that money to go to your new spouse, it'll go to your brother and sister or mother or father. So beneficiary designations are very important with retirement plans at work, IRAs, Roth IRAs, life insurance policies, anything with a beneficiary designation should be checked very carefully because those monies, again, by contract of law, will flow to that individual instead of maybe where you would have wanted them to go.
So let's talk about timing here a little bit. I think, you know, a lot of couples, obviously, you get wrapped up in the actual wedding itself, right? And all the planning that comes with that. But when are you supposed to actually change those designations? Are you supposed to do it just before you get married or right after when you come back from your honeymoon?
Yeah, typically we require a marriage certificate, so it'll be right after the wedding.
Okay, so right afterwards. And then when you talk about an estate plan, how does that tie in when you talk about beneficiaries and designating?
Yeah, it's very important too, and a lot of couples think that, well, I've got to have $1 million in order to do a good estate plan. That's not true, and doesn't have to be that complicated. It can be something very simple. You should at least have a will, so those assets are directed where you want them to go, whether it's your spouse, children, brother, sister, whoever it is. Then you have powers of attorney, so that in the event that you are, let's say, disabled or unable to act on your own behalf, somebody can step into your shoes and act for you, write checks for you, make sure that things are taken care of for you properly because you can't do them. So that is one of the documents that's part of a good estate plan, is having good powers of attorney, both medical and financial. And the medical part is very important too because you need to have those orders in place so that you can say, hey, listen, if I can't make a decision, again, if I'm incapacitated, someone knows my wishes, someone knows exactly what I want done, and that's very, very important. A lot of people just think that that's important for the person who is disabled or maybe perhaps can't answer for themselves, but it's also important for the person who you put in that position because that person now knows they don't have to make a decision that's very emotional for someone to, quote unquote, do not resuscitate. That's a decision that was made by the person, by the patient, instead of the person themselves who they gave that responsibility to.
So you mentioned the spreadsheet, right? And kind of basically laying everything out. What is another piece of advice that you like to give young couples who come to you, or is something that's often overlooked?
Communicate, communicate, communicate. It's so important because I've seen it where couples have hidden charge card balances. And that, if you look at the majority of the reasons for divorce, it's economics. So if you are honest and you're forthright and you list all the liabilities that you have, charge card debt, car loans, whatever it might be, private loans that you borrowed money from somebody and you owe that money, disclose it to your spouse. Let them know this is where you stand. You get a full view then too of what your responsibilities are going forward to pay off those different kinds of debt. Because some debt might be at 15, 20, 30% interest. Others might only be at 7%. So you would look to reduce those higher interest loans first and then go through and then figure out what's my best course of action from a financial planning standpoint. How much do I add to my assets versus paying off debt? So I think full disclosure, honesty, and communication between that couple is critically important.
Yeah, we hear it all the time. Communication is key, right? All right. Charles, thank you so much for being here. Great tips, great advice. We appreciate it.